Hello, fellow gamers, and welcome back to another episode of Revolution Idle. So, in the last episode, we were really grinding out some of the more idle kind of aspects of the game, kind of setting up our automation, getting things kind of really optimized, really trying to kind of min max things, just to kind of get like the maximum amount of infinity points as we can per run. Now, some of the longer runs were kind of yielding a lot more kind of infinity points. But what I found was after a couple of runs, because those longer runs took the amount of time that they did, that you can see here, we kind of got all the way up to, well, right now we're up to 182,000 infinities. Now, because of that, we are gaining serious amounts of infinity points. In kind of looking at our stats, you can see kind of the last runs. You can see just how I've kind of yielded up little by little. I think I started at about 50 QA IP per run. That was taking it about an hour. And then when that started speeding up, I thought, right, okay, let's step it up to 500. And you can see here we're getting 28-minute runs and we're getting almost 300 trillion per second. And then we kind of stepped it up again, where we went for 50 QI. Now that first run, the second run, they were kind of all kind of averaging. But once we started getting a lot more things in under our belt, I did kind of buy a few more generators just to kind of really help kind of push us along into kind of faster and faster runs. So you can see here that this was 116 was the last of that. I upgraded a little bit, went to another kind of 50 QI just to see how much it kind of trimmed down. I thought, right, at this point, we're getting 12.6 QA per second. And these runs are really starting to kind of yield kind of results. And I stepped it up to 500 QI just so we can see how much a couple of runs would take. And you can see here already, we're going from 146, the second run was 117. And like I say, just leaving those kind of extra kind of runs and the higher kind of IP that we need before we kind of break that infinity again, it is kind of making it so much faster, to the point what I've done now is I've changed our kind of infinity kind of automations to 5 sextillion. We've hit our first sextillion IP in those last two things. And I think, given the fact that, we ramp up so much faster, all I've done is just added a zero on the end until we're kind of really kind of stepping into, you see here 108 QA per second. Now, in terms of the upgrades, we can unlock this next one where all generators are stronger based on your fastest infinity. So we get almost a 3x multiplier just by buying this one, which is going to be so much faster. So our automations are just going to get even quicker because all of our generators are so much stronger now. You can see here, we're hitting QIs, billions, kind of into the millions almost here. Like even our kind of fifth generator, which was really kind of super slow, doing 1, 2-ish. It just, now look at it. It's it's running through hell of a lot more than what it was. So today's episode, we are going to kind of try and kind of level up these just a little bit. I have left it AFK. This run is when I kind of updated here. So it's been about 3 hours since I kind of checked in on it. Before that, it was kind of another 3 hours. So every 3 hours or so, I'm kind of just touching base with it, seeing what's going on. I am kind of uploading a few more videos and stuff, which you might see in between these kind of episodes and this kind of series. But, things are kind of starting to get a little bit more idle. We were kind of noticing that last episode where, it is an idle game. It's called Revolution Idle. And this is getting to the point now where we can really see those numbers slowing down. And it's not that they're slowing down by any means. It's just the numbers are so massive in comparison to what we were kind of doing early on, that it's got to the point now that it appears slow in terms of progression, more achievements, everything like that. Now, looking at kind of these next three, the generator, kind of having an exponent greater or equal to 1, I think we could probably get that today. reaching a level 1000, you can see here we're in the kind of 900 realm. Now, in order to get more, we're going to need a serious number here, which I do think we can kind of get to. And I think that is very kind of achievable with these kind of longer kind of automation runs. And even if it's not, we will get there over time because, the more kind of infinities we passively generate, just the greater we get and the faster we get. What I might even do, like kind of in a little bit, depending on kind of how quickly this next run goes, is just give it like a, 8-hour kind of run. Just really kind of like just make this automation, septillion, octillion. I mean, I might even look to see, what a run would take in order to get in like up to 1 octillion, because this upgrade here, 1 octillion is pretty, doable, but we just have to leave it a long enough time. And, because of that, it is becoming very more idle. This is kind of why, unless like kind of the next unlock starts kind of really kind of ramping up, a few things to do and this, that, and the other, this series is going to kind of like not be kind of like every day posting what I've been kind of doing up until this point. I might start doing kind of just leaving it in the background, playing a few more games, kind of, uploading a few different bits and pieces with you guys. And then every now and again, I'll kind of check in, run a little video of this, get a little bit more progression, seeing how far we can push it, and then kind of take it from there. But you can see here, like kind of this octillion is going to help us get that next achievement. So, this kind of goes up. You can see while I was talking, it went from 0.07 to 0.008. And that's basically a time thing, as a lot of these things are. So this generator power, so the more this generator power goes up, the more, where was it? Yeah, the more this is going to go up as well. So as long as we can get this making a difference to the point that it goes to I think we're greater than 1 exponent, which is here. You can see here it's 0.9. So the second that we can get that to 1.0, we're good. So right now 55 UDC is equivalent to 0.08. Now this needs to be 0.1 in order for us to get that kind of achievement. And then, this one here, we need 1 decillion, like infinity points. And this is where we unlock stars. So this episode might have quite a few skips just to kind of like get to where we need to get to. And as I kind of do the skips, I will kind of like give a little bit of just an explanation of what I've done, if I've done anything. It could just be a case of now it's just time to kind of chill, check in when it's hit that number, see what happens next, do it again. So, I am going to kind of wind up a little bit of time. We do have 40 minutes of time flux, so I can kind of speed things up somewhat on that aspect. I'm not going to spend any minutes doing this because, the time warps it even says in the help options that like time warps are unreliable. I think it says someone. The game will run fast paced with a lower accuracy, but it's good for resource gain. So the longer runs, yes. As long as we're not hitting like an infinity during that kind of 40 minute time flux, or however long you guys want to do it. But keep in mind that it's not as accurate. So the automation settings aren't going to be as you were just kind of leaving it AFK. Obviously time comes into a factor in everything with a game like this. So, some time in and kind of leaving it and stuff like that. So we're already at 30 minutes kind of into this kind of new run with the 5 sextillion as our cap before we reset. The last one to get 500 quintillion, you can see is 117. And, we're already up to the 43, 44 mark there. And this game, and what I have noticed is, this progress is exponential. It gets faster. It gets more. The longer you leave it, the higher the kind of infinity point gain that you get. But there has to come to a time where, this automation, do you want to wait 24 hours? Do you want to wait 30 hours? Do you want to wait like a week? Maybe. If that's the case, just really kind of crank this minimum IP up and that's what it'll do. And that'll gain you the most kind of infinity points per second is what I've found. But it doesn't kind of come up to this point until we kind of unlock certain achievements in the game and certain kind of infinity challenge trees. Now, the one that was huge for us was this one here, 18.1, that we unlocked last episode. So really work towards that is my recommendation. And once you get that, you can leave it for longer runs, and the longer runs won't kind of factor in on your multiplier based on how many infinities you have. Now, this very first one is greatly important. If you're hitting, around the 2,500 infinities, around that, one thing that I would recommend is like fix infinity if you've kind of broken infinity, and then run as quick infinity runs as you can until you hit about 6,000-7,000. Once it hits to about 6,000-7,000, go back into breaking infinity and then kind of set it up much like what I did last episode. It takes about 6 to 8 hours of just AFK, just leaving it doing what it's doing, and then you can really kind of jump up to kind of where I'm at now, where you're getting billions, trillions, quadrillions, all those huge numbers. When you kind of ramp up from 5,000 to 1 million, this is a bit of a plateau, and I found that doing it that way really kind of sped up my progress, especially getting from 1 million to 200 billion. And I kind of left it a little bit too long, and I even went way past and got 5 trillion in the process to get this as well. And I really kind of pushed it last episode in terms of progression and getting through, and skipped a lot of stuff. You can see here statistics. I think the play time there, I think it's 6 days. But again, that's a lot of AFK time. I haven't actually been playing it for that long, but I have kind of left it just to run and do its own thing. So yeah, so we're going to kind of skip through a few of these kind of more kind of idle kind of gameplay stuff. Probably going to leave it, a good, at least 5 or 6 hours. And then kind of from there, I'm going to kind of take it. I might even leave it longer than that. It just kind of depends on what the progress is with kind of gaining infinity points. But what I would like to do today is get this one, and then unlock stars. And the way we do that, like I say, is we need to unlock this one for 1 octillion, I think it's pronounced. And then, that's, 1 decillion unlock stars. That's going to be a little bit longer to kind of do that. So if we can't unlock stars today, at least we can kind of get there. So we're kind of heading close to it. And then kind of we can look at, obviously Stardust is going to be with stars. 40 plus ascensions, 1 million infinities. I mean, given that we're at 180,000, we could run, again, go into like super fast infinities just to get that, or kind of just leave it as it is. Right now we're in the 34 ascension on the red, and we're 33 on the white. So we're pretty far off getting those kind of 40 plus ascensions on every single one of them. And then, you can see here 1 Vigintillion, I think it is, or Gillion, or whatever it is. That's pretty far off. And I feel like kind of stars are going to kind of increase our gains. At least I'm kind of hoping so we can kind of push these kind of achievements and kind of get cracking with those as well. And you can see here, it's just like, quintillion IP. Eternity's not actually till here. So, once we've unlocked stars, in order to get eternity, I'm kind of wondering what the eternity kind of unlock and what that look at. Now it says it unlocks macro builder, so that's pretty cool how we can kind of set up things maybe a bit more specifically on our automation, which I'd love to see what it's about. I mean, it's even going into like, looks like we can buy animals. We can slow down things for some reason. We can, that twice, 4 times, reach eternity under an hour. So you can see here around there, they do it, there is a massive exponential growth, but like getting to that is just, it's wild, right? You just got to really kind of push and get to that plateau, break through that plateau, and then everything else before just goes super quick. And then, reach the next plateau, rinse and repeat. Progress, just, it is a bit of a grind game. It is an idle game. And, we're really starting to find that because we're at this stage now, things are getting a little bit slower in the progression. Now we actually have eternity challenges. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So that's another one that we can kind of look into later. But yeah, I want to kind of leave this for, quite some time now. Get enough so we can kind of buy this next one. Hopefully by the time we get that, it will have got to a 0.1. If not, what we can do is if we look at our generators now at this point, and it might sound funny because of like the sheer amount of numbers that we have now, but like these 100 QI isn't actually a big deal anymore. This is, 400 QI. That's achievable. We did just get our last sextillion. So the fact that only takes, if we have a look at the statistics, the fact that we did that in an hour, we can do that in another hour if we wanted to, or a little bit faster, I'm assuming. I mean, we're at 101. We could start over again to get that 100, but might as well wait and get the full whack of our automation of sextillion. And that just frees up these. We might even be able to buy more than just the 4 different generators by increasing each one by a level. But again, I don't want to kind of go on too much about kind of what the plan is and waiting through and all this, that. So let's skip ahead just a little bit. And then once we get up to the next kind of level of unlocking the infinity tree, we can take it from there.
Many unbearable hours later.
And after quite some time later, we have checked back in just to kind of see where we're at. Now, it has been a couple of days. I did have a couple of things to do out of town, yada, yada, yada. So I did kind of set things going. What I did before I kind of, got away was I tried to kind of play around with the runs themselves, just kind of really extending it for a little bit. You can see there number 10, 5 sextillion. That was kind of where we kind of got to just before the cut between the two. Since then, what I was doing, I was tweaking a little bit. I leveled up a couple of things. I kind of increased it, to I think 5 septillion at this point at number 9. Just the fact that it took about 6 hours to kind of get that done, I was like, that's a little kind of too long for me. So I kind of like quickly just kind of broke that. And then I thought, right, okay, I went to bed overnight, got a good 12 hours kind of just letting it run AFK. We got 151. And then I was like, okay, so now we kind of like changed it to 50 septillion. That kind of got it down to 3 hours, 500. You see, just playing around. And then I was away pretty much for kind of like for these days here. You can see that's like 24, that's like almost 30 hours of gameplay, just kind of like left it AFK. So you can see like, now like things are, we have 2.6 octillion. That does mean that we can kind of go all the way to the end here and kind of unlock this next one, which is the dynamic gen exponent, which kind of gives us a better kind of generator power because it has been running for a while as well. This automatically goes to get us that achievement. Just for kind of memory serves, like, obviously it's been a couple of days for you, for me, it's been a couple of seconds for you. That was this challenge here where we had to get the exponent above or equal to 1. So now let's try and get to the kind of 1,000 mark with the levels of the promotions. This is kind of like, you can see here, it is starting to go, relatively quick in comparison to like some of the previous kind of gameplay that you've seen. I will kind of get this kind of last day kind of taken so we can... Oh, what's this? A secret achievement. Okay, I'll take the 30 minutes time flux. That just kind of helps us out now because, you can see time flux. So we have almost 7 hours of time flux. So let's just kind of take it up to, times 3, just kind of speed past things just a little bit. I could kind of level up these a little bit if I wanted to. I'm just kind of, kind of okay how this is right now. Like it seems to be working well, even if I leave it for a couple of days. But you can see here already, you can see how quickly we can get that, QI. And yeah, so that's running real quick. So this has quite some time to go before we can get to stars. I mean, we have, after octillion, we've got nonillion, then we've got decillion. And the fact that this needs 1 decillion means that we're going to be waiting here for quite some time, especially if we're doing, 36 SX in 5 hours, like per second for 5 hours. I mean, this is going to take a long time unless we can kind of figure out a quick way. First things first, though, let's kind of look in to see what we can do in the generators. So I think, kind of leveling up these a little bit, kind of we're at the point now where there's really not much to kind of spend it on other than generators. You can see all of our challenges are super low. I might just kind of try and kind of run a few of these real quick just to kind of like get that, where is it, challenges? I'm sorry. In the upgrades, there's one kind of earlier on that kind of depends on our, so this one here. So right now it's a 6.44 because of our current challenge time. So we can get that kind of quicker. The challenges sum is 2.5 minutes right now. I think we can really kind of drive that down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of let this kind of run just a little bit. And as you can see here, we are getting back in. You can see how much quicker we're doing things now. We're already, this is by far easily like kind of more than septillions per second. It's probably going to reset just before we hit that 500 mark. But yeah, it's looking real solid now. So in terms of statistics, we have been running this one just a little over an hour, just so you can kind of see like a little comparison of exactly kind of how quickly things going, and as well just with how fast it is going. I am going to just kind of knock that up one more just to get the octillion, because we need octillions now. You can see all of these generators, 10 octillion, 10 octillion, 100. These are in the nonillions as well. So I would love to be in the nonillions so we can get that 7th generator. But yeah, that would, I think, just a little bit too far away on that one. So let's kind of just give this one, I'm not going to run it to like a full octillion, to the 5 octillions, sorry, just because, but just to get a general kind of idea of like, you can see now just how much quicker we are running the further we get up. So it's just kind of playing on exactly what I said before. So I'm probably going to wait for this to get to maybe the 1 octillion. I mean, it's not going to make any difference for what we can purchase, but, it's just so we can get a quick little reset. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just try and get these challenges kind of like down just a little bit. Where are we? Challenges. So yeah, so I want to get this like kind of under, I think it was 2 minutes 30. I want to try and get that down as much as possible. Challenge 9 took the majority of that. It took 1 minute 30 just for challenge 9, just to have the 4 colors. But given that we have got such a fast kind of time now, so let's just get this up to, it is starting to kind of like slow down just a little bit. I mean, it's still going fast though. So let's just, first of all, I'm going to take this down, because when I go to fix infinity, it's gonna take it a little bit too fast for me to kind of like figure out what it is that's going on with the kind of the challenges. So let's just we'll take it here. You can see here, I mean, that's how quick we are. We're already into that. So let's go into the challenges. Just see how quickly we can do that. Oops. One thing that I do have to do is fix infinity first. Which, there we go. So it kind of did lag just a little bit there. So let's just do this. So that took 1 second. That took milliseconds. Ooh, this one's taking a little longer. See, it's just to see how fast we can do these. I mean, some of these are just incredibly fast. Yeah. And last one. This one's obviously going to take a little bit longer, but still 2 seconds. So we did that in such a crazy amount of time. Yeah, I mean, that's basically where we are now. So let's have a look at the actual upgrades just to see kind of which, let's see if we can find it. Was it this one? Okay, so we went, I think it was like 6.9 to 7.14. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. Where are we? Okay, there, based on total challenge time. So it went from 6, well, let's say almost 7 to 11. So that just went so much faster. And you can see now off challenge sum of all 9 is just over 8 seconds. So that's going to increase all of our gains. That's going to get us kind of getting those into those higher numbers. And, I mean, looking at this as well, I mean, it looks like we're getting a lot of infinities. Now that's interesting. I wonder why. Oh, okay. Because so basically our fastest infinity is 200 milliseconds. And because of that, it's going up so much faster. You can see here we're getting 12. So this is just going to go up even further. So the fact that like one thing that I didn't do, which I kind of wish I did now, is that I wish I'd kind of try to go for a faster infinity. Because that faster infinity just meant that our passive, was it this one? Yeah. So the fact that like this is now in 400, well, it says here 400 milliseconds. So even though stats say it's 217. But anyway, the fact that we're hitting that so much quicker now just means that it's just, made our kind of gains even quicker. So this number is just going to shoot up so much quicker. I wish I'd done that like kind of way before, because we were getting like kind of 12 every, like, 30 seconds, or maybe a bit less than that. But obviously that kind of slowed down our progress. So before kind of going on those long AFK times, it would have been way better if we'd done that. Lesson learned though, obviously I'm just kind of checking this game out for the first time, like kind of like going through and kind of learning as I go. So, with this, I now know that is good to know. And for you guys, if you are wanting to play, you can kind of take my mistakes and kind of learn from them. So, yeah. So what I'll do is we'll get back on. I mean, like I say, we got 6 hours of infinity. And just to kind of show you as well. So that just ran so many kind of like fixed infinities. So it's kind of wiped off the other one, but we were at 1 hour before. So let's just kind of show you, if we just run a full time warp, exactly like kind of what happens in that sense. And we're paying 360, times speed. So there is 1 hour. And you can see here about 227. And we just, look at that. We hit 7 octillion there in 38 minutes, 5 in 25. So things are going real quick now, like so much quicker than before. I think we can kind of get, we can kind of push this even further if we wanted to. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of, again, skip just a little bit more time and just see if we can get, I don't know, let's just try see what 500 octillion does, and then we'll be back. Okay, while I was kind of doing yet another time flux, we did kind of manage to hit another kind of achievement here, hitting 1 million infinities. So in terms of the achievement itself, that's actually pretty far down, like for what I was expecting. So I think we're now kind of looking at some real, like, good numbers here. You can see here we're doing 238 SP per second now. And I think it's even going further than that, because you can see here just from that number alone, you can see how quickly it's going. So I think let's just push it a little bit further. Let's get get these up to 1,000. And I'll kind of show you exactly what our statistics is. Because we're hitting so many infinities so quickly, this number is just going up. You can see it's even going up even quicker than before, or it seems that way. So let's just kind of keep on crushing. So starting off with this, let's get these done. See these just now, it's all into nonillions. So we're like pretty much, this one's UDC, so that's like even further than kind of when we're hitting stars. And we're only up to like level 7. We've got 8, 9, and 10 to still to do. To me, that's just such a high number. It's pretty far off, but we'll get there. We will get there. And, once we hit the nonillion, it's just a stone's throw away at this point to hit the decillion. So I think we are going to be able to kind of get it done today. It's going to take a little bit of time. So 500 octillion there. I mean, these runs, I mean, this is now minutes, like kind of like we almost did like 1 nonillion in 50 minutes. Working that out, it's going to take 1,000 hours, but to hit that decillion mark. But the way things are increasing, I wonder why. Like now it's 360, and we're 18 minutes in. So yeah, let's wind it on a bit more time and see how crazy we can get it. And now we're finally at the stage where we can get level 1,000 on all of these. So that actually didn't take as long as I thought it would. I've even cranked up the minimum infinity points to the 1 decillion at this point, because you can see here, I kind of started off with that last run, getting 238 SP infinity points per second, and then it doubled again, and then I kind of just added more and more and more. And you can see here we're making almost 22 octillion infinity points per second, and that's at 50. So I thought, right, let us kind of get to 1 decillion, because we're going to get there. I mean, you can see here, this is going to take a couple of minutes when it comes to it. It's producing 1 nonillion a second, and it only needs 1,000. So we've already kind of broke through exactly kind of like where we were, and that only took, I mean, looking here, starting at, I think this point here, that's like almost 2 hours of runs. And we've gone from, barely hitting this in a couple of days of kind of being AFK to this one in maybe 2.5 hours. That's not even real time as well, because I have had this on, ×3 speed. So it's been kind of using up quite a lot, but we can get to, like I say, we can do, this is doing per second. So let's just kind of, time warp. Let's just use a little bit, 10 minutes or so, just to see that, we're 500. And you can see how much faster that we can do it again, just for a few minutes. And then, you can see here it's 800, and you can see how much faster that's getting, to the point that I even want to do like maybe one more here, just to see like kind of, because this is going real fast. We're hitting the decillions. In terms of achievement wise, we're going to unlock the stars, and then we can have a quick look at that. But you can see here, I mean, straight up, we're just doing so much now. And in terms of like generators, I've been kind of leveling up them like as they've been coming through. But I think we can do 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 401 nonillion to get all of these kind of leveled up as well. So I'm going to let this run just a little bit, just so we can get all of these kind of leveled up as well. And then we're going to have a quick look at stars and see how that is. There we go. See, things are slowing down now, but I am going to do that. And then let's get this upgrade here. Okay, so look at the stars, unlock stars. Okay, so we have that achievement. So this is the next one here. Okay, you have 0 stars which generate stardust per second. Okay, the stardust multiplies all generators. Okay. So to buy the first star, do I have to get another 1 decillion? Maybe. I'm thinking that's what it is. And then you can get a star base. I'm assuming that's the multiplier. And that also is a multiplier. So we need a fair bit to kind of get into this. Oops, didn't mean to do that. So yeah, so that literally pretty much is kind of what we have to do. So we've unlocked it, which is great. So 1,000 stars is going to be 1,000 decillion if it just stays the same price. I'm assuming it's probably going to go more than that as you buy. It's going to keep increase. Ascension up to 40 plus. That's a little bit off. Let's have a look at the help though. Let's have a look at infinity just to see, is there anything? Stars will produce stardust, which boost generators multipliers. There are 4 unique stardust upgrades that provide benefits for progression. Your goal here is to reach. That's the number that we kind of started off for in breaking infinity. Now we need to break into eternity with that same number, but on the infinity points. So this has also unlocked a few of these. I don't know where though. Oh yeah, Stardust gain right here. Okay, so we can get that leveled up. We got quite a few because of the login days and stuff like that. So I'm not going to spend anything yet. I just want to kind of make sure we have a few bits and pieces kind of lined up and stuff for all of that. But what I will do though is I will kind of use a full, like kind of what to get that 1 decillion took an hour, and we're 6 months into this. So let's run a full 60-minute warp just to see exactly how much we can get. I know the accuracy at this point is going to be like, not exactly right, but you can see we're up to the 1.4 decillion. So let's do that. Let's go into infinity. Let's buy our first star. Okay, so yeah, so it's already gone up to 1 UDC. So that's quite a big jump there, and that's just purchasing 1 star. So that's going to be it's going to be a long time off before we start kind of diving into this a little bit. But yeah, so at least you can kind of see what's going on though. We have been going pretty hard. We're now up to 361 octillion per second on the infinity points. And then that's just going to keep going up more and more and more. The more generators we buy, the more stars that we buy. We can actually buy all of these, which is awesome. That needs 1 QADC. That's to the power of 14. That's going to be this is the power of 12 DDC. This is the power of 11. So these are all the numbers keep getting crazier and crazier, but you can see it didn't take too long to get stars. So, this is going to be it for today's episode. I hope you've been kind of liking the skips, or if you want to see a little bit more kind of in depth, like I say, kind of at this point, it is becoming a bit more idle, a bit more kind of time between kind of things. The use of time flux is coming in more and more. So, let me know if you guys want to see specifics, if you want me to look into things more in more detail, whether it be upgrades, generators, challenges, stars as we get into it, probably next episode. But yeah, so appreciate you kind of hanging in, watching this one. I know it's been a little bit of a longer episode just because we have been skipping quite a lot of time forward just to kind of get everything done that we kind of set out to do in this episode. And I will catch you all in the next one.